Vizartem is bnei Yisrael metumasam, huh? Yeah. Vizartem is bnei Yisrael metumasam. Alo yamusu metumasam etamim mishkoni asher besoicham. Yesterday we didn't do the regular system of the Gemara and the Halacha Mitzvah. Next week we'll get back to our regular
system.
Yes. Yesterday we did a little bit of Fabrengen, a little delayed, and there was Lakovid Beizir and Lakovid Mitzvah Hashem, the production that as Hashem is Baruch should be Matzliach. Okay. So in the meantime, we're a little behind on a few things that we do regularly, like Sunday night. We usually do a Sicha in the Pasha. We'll do a little bit of a shtickle over this. Is like a terrific Sicha. And Pshuta Shemikra. Never ended up being a Mugadik Sicha, but terrific Sicha. Okay. We know that the Shalom writes that Rashi has Nifloim, the Rabbeim says Yena Shal Torah. Rashi wrote that his Pirush is L'Pshuta Shal Mikra for a child. The Rashi never wrote a book of rules of how, but from the words of Rashi, you could see what's the Mahalach of Rashi. And this is a classical Rashi Sicha where you see, the Rebbe takes part of Rashi. It's a beautiful Sicha. Like the Rebbe says, sometimes you have these long parshas. The end of a parsha, people learn it quickly. The Malamed with the kids. Vada, Gevis, it's Friday, it's already time to go. So if there's no questions, you just zoom through the Rashi, and there's no questions, you go weiter. And this is one of these Rashi, simple Rashi. Pasuk said, "Vizartem as bnei Yisrael mitumasam." You should warn them. It seems like the word Vizartem means to warn. Is it Meloshen Zahir? There should be Nizar. What's the Vizartem? Like it's something like you should warn the Eden from the Tumah. I mean, this is the whole idea that Chazal learned from this pasuk. The idea of the Oines, the Oine Beinanis, the Oines HaChodesh, the Oine Shloshim Yoim, and so on. The idea of being careful, not getting to Tumah, being careful in days that are, liable to be problematic. Tumah. Zok Rashi, Ein Nazir El Prisha. Who talks about Nazir? It says Vizartem. So some of the Meforshim say like this. Before we get to the Meforshim here, I have a set of Chumash. I would recommend very much if you're looking for a nice set of Chumash. I have a set of Chumash called Rashi Kepshuta.
Oh,
you have it? It's Machai.
That's the best Chumash to learn Rashi.
I was when I was in Eichler's last time, I was buying a couple of svarim. The guy tells me, I said, one of my best svarim I ever bought here was Rashi Kepshuta. He tells me that there was a few years ago a whole tumult about it. Kilap is something not kosher there. Excellent sefer. Excellent sefer.
Maybe if you bought it, the sale went up. Right?
It's just an excellent sefer. But they're dealing with the Meforshim that I already gave. I'm saying B'chlal. It's very nice. It's really they did a beautiful job on that. You have to give credit. It helps so much to learn a Rashi. So it's worthwhile to spend the money on this. Vizartem. So they say like this. That Rashi wants to say it's Eine Maloshen Zehirut. Sheshorsha, Zoya. Again, in the Gemara where we say Vizartem is bnei Yisrael mitamasam melamed shechai vadam lifresh mishte samach lo inasa. So api halacha, not in pshat. So they learn Vizartem Maloshen Zahirut. Le'yot Zahir. Mod tzarich le'yot Zahir. Meloshen Zoyar.
Today, when you go by the border in Israel, there's Zehirut Mokshim Ba'ezor. You have to watch a lot of myself.
So Zihirut could also come from the Shodesh Zohar, according to them. I'm just reading for you what they're saying. They say the word Zihirut comes from the Lashon Zohar. So they write, Elo Shodesh Tevazu Meloshen Nezer. V'ois nun nishmetes kemoi v'hipalta mishodesh nefel. And they write that the Klalei Dikduk says that there is a Yisoid Neufel, or sometimes called whatever, Yisoid Neufel.
This is the noon that you took away.
Yeah, like sometimes the rule is that the rule, not, we'll talk about soon, Rashi, but the rule of thumb in Dikduk is that every word has a three-letter word, which is a shoidish, right? Sometimes you could have a Yesod HaNoifel. So, for example, Lomad. So you could have that it falls down, that you could Yilmad, Tilmad, Talmud, Talmid, but sometimes you could have Yesod HaNoifel like Neifel or Mapola. Mapola doesn't have the nun there. But that's Yesod HaNoifel. Sometimes the Yesod, even though Mapala comes from the word Neufel, and Nun Pei Lamed is the Shodesh, and you always have three letters in the Shodesh. So what happened with the Nun? Sometimes when it's the first letter of the three letters, there's Shodesh HaNoifel. Okay, happens.
The Nun Nafla.
Nun Nafla. Very good. Okay. That's what they write. The Ibn Ezra, the Mizrachi's Fasachom, a little different. It's similar to that. The Ibn Ezra says, Yesh meforshim boi v'izartem b'chisar nahevach zelo yitochin kahein amoisis ahemshach ki lo yed noach nelam kim b'sefer milah rak pirush when his nozer mekotcher le'Yisrael came v'irchaktem menu nozer shehirchik nafshe metavas oilam nishkoloi v'yipaltem es oretz kenun muvla bedogish.
Work it on Dikduk.
Yeah, he says that why you don't have to say v'hizartem, because the Zion is so emphasis. There's an emphasis on the Zion. V'hizartem, it's a heavy Zion, so it's as if the Zion has a nun in it. A heavy Zion, it's as if the nun is in it. Mizrachi says the middle is v'hizartem shoshoi nezer elo shenivla hanun b'degesh hazayin. So there's really belongs here a nun, but the degesh hazayin makes as if the nun and the zayin are together. Sifsacham says also similar. The hoyer of a zayin, the bezartim the gusha. There's a dogush under the zayin. Maybe nun lefanel behave ki'ilu ksiv. Vehin zartem, v'shoirish the hizartem uneize. Okay, that's what. So either it's a shoirish hanoifel or the dogush and the zayin makes as if the nun is there. And Rashi brings so therefore the Mefarshim Kiddush say Rashi doesn't have to say this. This is simple. That v'hizartem means not zahirut, not zoyer. Rather, v'yizartem is meloshen nazira, nazir, to separate, which in nazir means to be poirish. Nazir is poirish from taivas olam haza. And the Rashi brings two rayas, nazir hocher and nazir echer. Here there is at least 12 questions. But if you read it quick, the Rebbe says.
So what Rashi mean here? V'yizartem and nazira eleklisha. Instead v'yizartem,
it means nazira.
That's what he
but
said.
the Rebbe says the first question is why. What Rashi should have said first, v'yizartem. You should know over here, even though there's no noon, v'hizartem hainu, v'nizartem, like the Sifsech Ramzeh, v'havik iluksiv, v'hinzartem, v'hinzar. It's a big deal. How is a kid supposed to know this? Rashi's kilu skipping the main deal. V'hizartem, you should know, doesn't mean meloshen zihirut, mokshim lefanecha. It means it's not meloshen zihirut. It's meloshen nozir. V'kilu it says v'hinzartem. And now that I told you what it means, you should know ein nazir ela prisha. But 1 second, why didn't Rashi just explain? This is a very important, complicated rule in Diktuk. How do you know that this 5-year-old already graduated Diktuk school? Maybe he didn't go to Diktuk school. And you know what? Maybe even his Rebbe doesn't know Diktuk. It can happen, right? It happens sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So maybe the Talmud doesn't know. So why doesn't Rashi explain himself first? Right? He assumes you already know the whole thing of Yesod HaNoifel or the Dogush. This whole, I think that a Dogush, that design really means a nun with a Dogush. You think the kid figured it out himself? Come on. Why doesn't Rashi say it? Why doesn't Rashi say it? Rashi right away as if it assumes that the kid knows everything. Why doesn't Rashi tell it to us? Once you know that Vizarta means Nazira, oh, you should know Ein Nazira Ela Prisha. But why doesn't Rashi tell us, oh, by the way, Vizarta, even though there's no nun, it's as if the nun is here. Why? Because it's Yisrael HaNoifel.
Maybe explain it already in the
He didn't.
Maybe. First you bring the Tanakh and then I bring the
And so that's another funny thing. Why does he bring first the Tanakh and then the Chumash? And also, B'chlal, there's many other ayahs that Rashi could bring. And one of them is the word Nazir. There's a whole passion in the Torah that has 100 times the word Nazir. So why doesn't Rashi bring there? And Fakir, over there where it talks about Nazir, it also says Yazir. Without a nun. So you see Nazir and Yazir.
That's the best example.
You see, it's the best example. And it's in Pashas Nasa, and it's mentioned 30 times. You can bring an eye from there. Okay, so let's just go to the Nakud of the Rebbe's Biur. The Nakud of the Rebbe's Biur is like this. Rashi wrote Pirush in Lashon Kodesh, not in French. Rashi, a few times he writes in French, like the Rambam also. The Rambam wrote a lot in Arabic, but the Mishnah Torah wrote Lashon Kodesh. Rashi wrote things in French, but he wrote the Pirush on Chumash and Lashon Kodesh. Obviously,
All the Chumash he wrote.
he wrote Lashon Kodesh.
No, he did put in Rashi.
But sometimes he writes a few words in French.
How do you explain it?
Sometimes a few. So, and the Gemara also in Lashon Kodesh, a few words in French. So obviously he's talking to a person that knows Lashon Kodesh, the basics, even if he doesn't know.
But why do we still have to know when we're learning Rashi that it tells us that this was in laws? What does it help me to?
Me and you today, not. In the days of Rashi, whenever you said lots, everyone knew.
That was a language.
Like you told me once, what did you say? F in the Fenster. Was a Fenster? Ich weiß nicht. Who? You told me that? Ich weiß nicht, what the... From the Shkenanim. No, it was my father-in-law was like, Fenster was... the Winde! It was a laughing in the Winde! Didn't you say that story of my father-in-law?
No.
My father-in-law. Fenster, F in the Fenster. I say once he was in bar pockets. F in the Fenster. Kid said he didn't know what he's talking about. F in the Winde. The Winde.
They also don't know what was Zatir.
I don't know. They know a very
He
funny.
a lot of English
Right.
and Yiddish by
Right.
So
Rashi,
The door.
huh?
Open the door.
Okay, that's it.
Open the door.
Rashi was Sephardi, Ashkenazi.
Ashkenazi. But
Sephardi is Sephardi.
I know.
In French, most of them was Sephardi.
Yeah, but it is, there's Ashkenazim that have the name Ashkenazi and the Sephardim that have the name Ashkenazi. Sometimes it happens.
Friend Ashkenazi.
Right, exactly.
They're non-coherent.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So the Rebbe says like this: the child obviously speaking a little bit of Lashon Kodesh, right? Now, there's a very important rule that Rebbe says that Rashi makes clear, and a lot of times, according to Rashi, not like we learn in the books of Diktuk that every word has to have a shodesh of 3 letters. According to Rashi, the shodesh could be 2 letters. According to Rashi doesn't have to read the Diktuk books from Ben Yehuda. He had his own book of Diktuk, and Rashi holds that a lot of times that Rashi tells you that the shodesh of the word is 2 letters. So 2 letters could be the shodesh. So then over here, for example,
stop, it could be Zayin.
right. So Zeir could mean a crown, or Zeir could mean like Nazoiru Ocher, to move back. Now the noon, the child knows that the noon is like this. A child knows that a lot of times the noon is Lashon Nifal. And that's not a big rule and diktuk that you have to, like, for example, a child knows, if a child speaks Hebrew, ochal ne'echal, ne'echal, katav, nichtav. This is not a big rule that you need to know diktuk for.
In Pesach, we say Nechal ala
Right,
Sava.
nechal ala sova, exactly. So you don't have to be a big bal diktuk to know that. So nun is usually a lashon nifal. So when you would say nozoiru means that someone is making him move. Could be he himself, because, like, for example, a nazir, he is moving himself away from taivas. No, a nazir acher, he moves himself back.
It's Ava.
Rashi start with en nezir.
And also lashon nifal. Nifal misha mafil et acher. But nifal. אבל אני יכול להפעיל את עצמי. That nifal.
The poil is a nifal.
And then the vihizarta means he feel. You should go make sure that this happens. So therefore, the fact that the nun fell off doesn't concern the child. Only if you're a big chacham from diktuk and you think the nun here is from the shoydish. But if you learn like Rashi that the shoydish could be two letters, zer, and zer could mean crown, and zer could mean to move back, and the nun would be nifal. Nozer means that he moved himself back, nifal. And there could also be hifil, v'hizartem. So Rashi does not concerned about that. That's already not a big concern. But Rashi wants to explain ein nazir el prisha, that you have to move back. So to say that the raya is from the word nazir is not so clear. The word nazir, because we know that zer could also mean a crown, and nazir could be nezer al kaval roisha. Could be he's called a nazir not because he's going away from taivas, the way Ibn Ezra says. It could be that's a pshat, but could be also that nazir means nezer al kaval roisha, means that he has a crown on his head. Zer zahav, he has a crown. Zer brachim.
There is also somebody not from here.
Zar, right.
He's
That's
Zar.
Zar. That's Zar. It's not Zer.
Same,
No, Zem otiot, but different nekudot. But here, so therefore, Rashi can't bring a raya that Nazir is prisha from a Nazir. It's true, a Nazir is poirish min ayayin and poirish min atuma. But could be the reason why a Nazir is called a Nazir is because Nezer alakova roishoy, he has a crown on his head. So maybe over there, Zer is from the Lashon crown. Therefore, Rashi brings the best raya is from Yeshaya, because over there, Nazoru Ocher. Nazoru Ocher means they moved back. That's Maloshin Prisha. They were the pasuk over there, Hey Goy, Kveid Oven, Bonim Mereim, Zera Mashchisim. Nazoru Ocher means they walked away from the Eibishter. They were poirish from the Eibishter. So over there, it's clear that Ein Nazira Ela Prisha, that instead of standing close to Hashem, they walked away. Instead of standing close, they walked away. So that's why Rashi likes this raya first. Elamai, this raya has a little bit of a chisaron in it, and therefore he brings a second raya and whatever. We'll just leave it at that.
Rashi was before the Rambam, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Rashi was there for time shana, והרמב"ם זה 900 שנה.
Yeah.
שני דורות.
200 years.
Yeah. And
200 years.
so let's summarize. It's that the Rebbe is what the Rebbe is saying is that it's true. It's not some complicated rule and diktuk. It's a simple thing that really a letter, the source of a letter could always be the source of a word could be two letters, and the fact that we lost the nun is only lashon. It's something which is that right. It's lashon nifal, and it falls off because over here it's a lashon hifel, not nifal. And it's just that Rashi has to explain that ein nazir ela prisha, and the best raya for that is from Yeshaya and Nazir Ochu. But the fact that a nazir is called a nazir is no raya. Okay.
In this thing, the Rashi started the word en nazir, right? When you come to Shulai, and
Right,
they start with the
right.
negative thing.
Kilo, he understands that the child would already understand that the
Rashi.
rule already clear to the
They
child.
know already what is nazir because he already learned about nazir. So he has this word. Impossible that a kid would know it, but
Okay,
according to Rashi, yeah.
let's learn. We already learned about Nazoidu and about special Zahidus, or whatever. We'll do a little simple, what seems l'choida, very simple, Simon Shulchan Aruch, simple to say, a little harder to do. And it's connected to the Posam Ve'zartem as Bnei Yisrael that a Yid should be have a special Zahirut. Zahirut. Sakana lefanecha. Person Chazal say, Lo'olam, a person should be careful. Memei shorim shel heter val yove le shar echad shel isur. Okay, so let's learn a little bit in Siman Reish Lamed Aleph. Shakol kavanois of you l'shem shemayim. That a person, everything a person does should be l'shem shemayim. Mi efshel lilmed b'loshnei sarayin yisha. Shneim shnasa in sarah l'barach l'kayin. Hashem shem shekar kayin shishan. Inoyim. Vavad shel yarich ba. So os lisem bayoim yoyse mashinas shrut. Sus. He shouldn't drink, sleep too much in the middle of the day. If he takes a sleep in the middle of the day, the kavanah shouldn't be for his pleasure.
Talking about people that wake up in the morning, come at night to tikkun chatzos, and then wake up for davening and
Also, you have to realize
people in the middle of the day they need to stop on it.
that there are societies that they believe in taking a nap in the middle of the day. I think scientifically it's been proven that it's a disaster, and that it doesn't really work. But it doesn't, because Lapoil there are societies like siesta. They used to do night Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael was different. In Mexico and Spain till today, close stores at 1:00 and they reopen at 4. So people sleep the Viola for 2 hours. The problem in these societies they figured out that the mamash it's not a big yichus. Because they figured out that Chazal say it's not good to sleep by day.
Okay.
But today scientists figured out that the taka is not good to sleep by day. And they figured out in these societies where people sleep by day, so they have a good sleep, lamazogin, from 1:00 till 4:00. So they slept 3 hours, good, yeah? Or 2.5 hours, they slept a good hour sleep. Okay. Now, wake up 3:30, goes back to work 4:00. So he works now, but he didn't work for a few hours. So he has to work. So he comes home 7:00. Now, let's start cooking supper. So they eat supper 7:30 to 8:30. Okay, now he's feeling very awake. So now he's not going to sleep until 2:00 in the morning, maybe 3. He's got to get up 7, 8:00. So he didn't even sleep 4 or 5 hours. He slept 4.5, 5 hours. So from when he wakes up until 2:00 when he gets a nap, his head is spinning. So he's not accomplishing too much. So he's eating late, and it's also not that healthy. So they figured out that it doesn't, the whole siesta thing, but it's not easy to change a society. Like, certain countries, they try to get rid of the siesta. They try to make it, that's it. You know what? Forget it. Companies also not. It's easier for a company, the worker checks in, 9:00, 4:00, checks out. Have a nice day. Bye-bye. Hasta la vista till tomorrow. No, you got to close 1. Come back. They come 4. So you have 2 opportunities for a person to come late. Instead of, if a guy comes late in the mornings, instead of 9, he comes 9:30. But the whole day is there. A guy comes late, so twice he comes late. It's a disaster. But they can't change it because it's entrenched. Chazal said it's not good to sleep middle of the day.
In Israel, all the banks close right now.
Yeah, in Israel,
All the
1
banks.
second, Israel, I think it was different. It was not the same reason like in Mexico.
1 to 2, they close. You cannot get them.
The truth is, even in Mexico, the reason why they say
They want to be lady gays.
no, there's nothing to do with ladies.
Lady gays.
I know lady gays.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to relate to gays. I think it's very simple. It goes back to a time when everyone was a farmer. So a farmer wants to get up, mamash at the crack of dawn to start working. Why? Because at 12 o'clock, when the sun is on top of your head, it's very hard to work. It's very, very hard to work, to be in your field in the middle of the day. I remember I always go back to this thing, Chabad. I stayed once for 3 weeks in my house, and my cousin, Loza Garelik.
For Chabad.
Chabad. Oof.
41 degree.
He comes back home like
Red like a select.
He's mamich red. So in the morning he jumps out. He catches the first minion in the Beis Levi Yitzchak in the corner of his block, and he runs right away to work because he wants to get a couple hours of work. It's very hard to work. 12, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock. You can go back to the field. It's already, the sun is starting to go on the other side. So for farmer taka, it's very hard to work in the middle of the day. So it makes sense. But in a society today where people are working indoors with air conditioning and this.
Got a lot of traffic.
Huh?
A lot of traffic.
For sure. It creates a ton of mess. Yeah, sorry, you want to say something?
First of all, in Europe, they don't have to travel to work. It's small communities. It's not like here going from Brooklyn and Queens to Manhattan. Or with it, they walk to work and then they come home, they eat lunch with the whole family. The kids come home from school. That's the culture.
Yeah, that is the
And
culture.
other thing is they made a study here, just the opposite of what Ruff said, that you need a power nap for 20 minutes. I mean, May attack used to say he took a power nap.
Helps you a lot.
That was better.
Moshe Metzger also takes a half hour every afternoon. Moshe Metzger from Shomer Shabbat.
Especially when you get older, working
Yeah.
nine.
I feel that also by me, but I
Maybe
don't
there
need
for
to have
me
any
to-
money. By the time I eat, it's brunch, so.
The people that do
That's the
siesta,
Shabbos afternoon.
they don't sleep for 20 minutes. The people that do siesta, they don't sleep for 20 minutes. They sleep for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. It's a different culture. It's a different culture.
The right is that Shabbos afternoon, you eat a big meal, you eat late in the day. So your blood sugar is already down, and you fall asleep.
Right,
That's not good.
right, that's true. Okay, let's read a little further. Even if he takes a little power nap, it shouldn't be for Noah. Whatever a person has at pleasure in this world shouldn't be for his personal pleasure. It's for the Eibishter. The Rebbe has a whole mahalach, the difference of B'chol Derech Chadeyu, B'chol Masach L'Shem Shemayim. I mean, Pashas, they're synonymous, they're the same thing. The Rebbe says, B'chol Masach L'Shem Shemayim is a lower level, that he does whatever he does. It's L'Shem Shemayim. B'chol Derech Chadeyu means that in this thing itself, he sees a lakus. But the Pashas, it's like one thing. I feel it Barum Shel Shutz Kagon Achil Vashtia V'Alich V'Yeshiv V'Akim V'Atashmish V'Asich V'Chol Tzarochay Gufcha. You kulam la'avodas b'iracha, v'dava agoyim la'vaydase. Shafila tzama v'roa v'mochel v'shasal anasa einem meshubach. He's hungry. He's thirsty. He has to eat. Shteitzach. But if it's for his own pleasure, that's not praiseworthy. Elo, what should he do? Yiskaven sheyochel v'yishten kefi chiyusei la'avodas b'irei. He's eating and drinking in order to live, in order to survey b'shtek. Chen afila leisha b'soid yisharim. V'lamed b'mokim tzadikim v'leilech b'atzas tamimim. Whatever he's doing is not for his pleasure, the Eibishter's pleasure. He's doing it all for the Eibishter's thing. V'masal anos atzma l'hashon cheptze v'tavosai ein meshubach. El magos l'shem shamayim. Chem b'shchiv ve'ein tzarech lo m'shem shman sheyochel l'lask b'toyre mitzvahs lo yizgor b'shen l'anagat. If he could sit and learn, he could do mitzvahs. He shouldn't let the pleasure of sleep go over him. He worked very hard. He must sleep. He must rest up. It's not a question. However, why does he want to have brius? How can a person learn Torah if a person is tiru fadas? A person can't sleep. It's terrible. It's tiru fadas. So that's what the person has to have in mind. When a person is with his wife. It's for his pleasure, for his taiva, and his maguna. It's funny. Before he says "Ein meshubach," he said "He's a maguna." Even if he has, he says he wants to have children. Why does he want to have children? Who's going to take over the business? Who's going to take care of him in his old age? That's not meshubach. He's going to have children to serve the Eibush, or because he wants to pay his choy, his wife. She deserves oina, so he's giving it to her. He's obligated to give it to her. Either this, he's talking about politics, he's talking about science, not science, l'shem science. There's something that could come out of it. Avodas Hashem, he learns law, and he's a judge. Hashem Shemayim, to serve Hashem. Kloli shel davar. The bottom line. A person has to think in his mind and pay attention and to calculate everything they do. If he sees that this activity is going to bring him closer to Avodas Hashem, get involved. Ovid is a boy. He told me the person that does it is always serving Hashem.
Sounds like Tanya.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It sounds like Tanya. Let's read a little bit in the Mishnah Berurah Ois Ches. If he's talking about business, it has to be l'shem shemayim, v'shiyeloi b'ma l'isparnas. What's l'shem shemayim? Simple. If he needs money in order to have parnasa, kadesh avadei gozel. Afilu moshe gadol shadayla b'mayim l'parnas at the basic from yom gam kin yitzur l'pam b'mashe mishtadel l'harbes sakav dvar mitzvah ganesh kamanas l'harbes b'tzvah kamanas chassadim edeza. A person could say, I want to be wealthy, even though I don't need this money. I have enough money to buy bread and cheese or bread and salami, but I want to have the extra income in order to give tzedakah, because I want to give tzedakah with the money and I want to have the schus, or to give out loans. He wants to have employ Yidden. Shkolz aber halt stock am mulo mimen. Shkolz aber am mulo be yeredes mit reish mit tes und shmar ze bi adisol shmach nes malach. Der kedesh staker velo yitzarch la bris lisho mekayim mitzah said the mat yot immer gesagt dabei that the person that finds a job for another Jew or employs another Jew and gives them a salary that's unbelievable, that's that's the biggest thing to support.
The better than tzedakah.
Right.
You find so many jobs.
Should we go further? I mean, it's 9:30 and it doesn't look like. 1 second. Let's see what we have. We have here a double Muslim plus we have 2. Okay, so we need only 1. Okay.
They still upstairs?
No, cats and things upstairs.
So it's 1.
We know one after.
No, we need 2 after.
No one.
We have here not 6. We have in the kitchen 1 and upstairs 1.
Oh, he's not here. They got to come over the time. Yeah.
No,
know. Yeah, those two galleys left. Yeah. Look like
The two that use the bathroom, that's it, no left.
Huh?
Somebody's coming in.
Oh, okay, so we got the one before the center.
Here.
Oh, mine have a gleich jetzt.
Cat.
Very good.
Cat.
Behurachum.
No, we have nine.
Right.
10, we got 10.
Went to the bathroom.
You have nine?
I got it.
Doesn't matter. You can stay. You can stay.
Nine?
Okay, we got 10. We got 10.
All right.